They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo-Nazis. But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertained.
Sunny Hostin just went through a rough moment. Imagine losing your phone in a lake and feeling totally lost and overwhelmed. That's how it felt after Charlie Kirk and Joe Rogan teamed up to tear down her reputation. She completely broke down. Tears, confusion, and that stunned look like she was watching her followers disappear before her eyes. It was such a dramatic scene. Even soap opera writers might have taken notes. But what did they say that hit Sunny so hard and left her feeling like a total regret?
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%. Right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right. Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they...
Get ready. This takedown was so fierce, Sunny's teleprompter might have wanted to quit. It all started like any other week for Sunny Hostin, soaking up praise and enjoying an audience that lapped up her one-sided opinions. Then, out of nowhere, she got hit hard from two directions. On one side was Charlie Kirk, Gen Z's chart-wielding warrior, armed with facts and zero patience for nonsense. On the other, Joe Rogan, podcast king, tearing into her credibility with wild stories about elk ice baths and government secrets. Sunny was caught off guard, too busy delivering another self-praise-filled speech while the crowd applauded like it was church. Now the first blow, Charlie Kirk's data bomb. This wasn't just a few numbers, it was a total credibility wipeout. And the crazy part, he wasn't even there in person. Picture him destroying her argument from miles away, speaking at a college event where the only protester was a dog in a pink mohawk. That's a serious flex. Charlie Kirk wasn't about to stay silent when the facts didn't add up. He came in swinging with sharp data, smashing through the elite media's delusions like a bulldozer on Red Bull. And guess who got caught right in the middle? Sunny Hostin, self-proclaimed queen of progressive drama, sitting high on her throne of recycled applause and daytime TV hot takes.
The culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stopped looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, right. whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side. We're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do. And no one's critically thinking about this.
Joe Rogan is the gateway drug for young men that thought they were Democrats to become MAGA. Joe Rogan is the bridge, and on that bridge they'll see RFK. They'll see.
Charlie didn't even need to mention Sunny's name. He just started unpacking a suitcase full of privileged nonsense, the kind you hear nonstop on The View. It was like watching TSA strip search a bag full of bad takes, voter suppression everywhere, conservatives hate minorities, Republicans want to rewind to 1952, the usual tired hits. But then Charlie did something no cheering crowd usually dares. He brought the receipts. Real stats, the kind that bounce off Sunny's arguments like Nerf darts hitting concrete. He revealed a surprising truth. Many minority voters are actually leaning conservative now. Why? Because, believe it or not, they're tired of being treated like political pawns by millionaires who pretend to understand gas prices from their luxury condos.
Final point I'll say is this, Sunny, you guys thought that abortion was going to be this like quasi-zealot religious issue? I'm pro-life. If people in the audience aren't, that's fine. What I'm saying though, what gives me promise and I think we can all agree on this, is that there are other issues that should animate and drive our politics other than this very divisive one. And I was really encouraged by that, Megan. Very encouraged, because the media was forcing this as an up or down vote on a referendum on a highly complicated, very emotional, very personal issue. And it turned out the American people were like, yeah, actually, these other 6 things matter more.
And he didn't stop there. Charlie shined a harsh spotlight on the whole act, calling out those TV millionaires who lecture the country about oppression from their penthouse balconies, sipping $8 almond milk lattes, while claiming the system is against them. Seriously, the only thing rigged in that studio is the applause sign flashing like a TikTok-like show. Then came the elitism bomb. Sunny, comfortably settled in her media penthouse, suddenly looked like the perfect example of an out-of-touch pundit who thinks having a producer in their ear makes them a genius.
Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept the View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here.
Charlie didn't even blink. He called out how these TV stars confuse their fancy lifestyles for some kind of moral authority. Like, since when does flying first class give you the right to preach to everyday Americans? Getting life advice from Sunny is like asking for budgeting tips from someone who thinks Whole Foods is a dollar store. It's funny, but then Charlie got serious. He didn't attack her looks, smarts, or style. Instead, he went straight for the biggest issue, credibility. He shattered the idea that Sunny's political views reflect what real people actually experience. If this was a fight, she'd have been knocked out in the first round. But then round 2 came charging in Joe Rogan, the podcast king, the straight-talking bouncer of America. No suits, no charts, just a mic and a clear mission.
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested hen.
Joe Rogan doesn't need any fancy tools. His style is raw, blunt, and painfully honest. In Sunny's elite media bubble, where common sense feels like a banned substance, Joe's attack came with no charts or slides, just jokes, smirks, and that classic Rogan shoulder shrug that says, "Are they really serious right now?" While Charlie tore down the message, Joe went after the messenger. He mocked the whole TV circus they called journalism, and the audience loved it. He called out those talk shows that pretend to be serious news but really feel like group therapy for people too scared to face reality. Rogan didn't just criticize what they said, he roasted the entire act, like saying, the emperor isn't just naked, he's giving fashion advice on modesty live on TV. Using his mix of locker room wisdom and podcast philosophy, Joe blasted the idea that media elites are the culture's moral guides, while Sunny clings to hashtags like their life rafts, turning every trending topic into her personal stage. He didn't just throw punches, he asked the big question. How did these folks even get the keys to culture in the first place?
And the nerve of this woman to whom the country has given so much to try to dump on people who didn't go to college. Look at you. Look at your achievements. How do you like the so-called uneducated now, Sonny?
Yeah, and again, by the way, rarely do you get the answer to a question in the question. And her whole question is exactly why there was a rebellion against them.
Yes.
Listen, just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. I always differentiate between knowledge and wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. I mean, it's or about North African lesbian poetry. Okay, that's fine. I get.
Why are these media elites the gatekeepers when they've never faced real struggles without a PR team vetting their every move? That was Joe's sharp question. Then he pulled out his own proof. Conversations with people who've been in the trenches, soldiers, survivors, scientists, and others who've faced chaos firsthand, not through a filtered lens. The contrast is clear. On one side, a talk show crew treating serious issues like theme park attractions, poverty, pain, politics, all part of the show. On the other side, Rogan's world, guests who live the reality, speak honestly about it, and sometimes laugh at how wild life really is. Here's the truth. One side profits off misery, while the other tries to understand it without pretending to be science.
Episode of you when you were on The View, when you were running for president. You got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. And then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you.
That red hat that says "Make America Great Again." Might as well just put a swastika on the hat.
Joe Rogan didn't even need to say Sonny's name. That kind of burn hits so hard you can feel the target flinch, like when the whole crowd laughs and you know it's about you. That's when the ego check goes straight to voicemail. He painted talk shows as elite echo chambers where real issues don't get talked about. They're buried under polished sound bites and fake outrage. These sets aren't newsrooms, they're luxury spas for fragile opinions. Charlie Kirk came armed with hard facts. Rogan brought pure mockery. One tore down the numbers, the other smashed the nonsense. Same outcome. Sunny Hostin, usually untouchable in her applause bubble, suddenly looked like a poorly written side character in a bad cable news sketch. Here's the poetic part. Two men, totally different, one a suit armed with stats, the other a hoodie-wearing agent of chaos, accidentally teamed up like a glitch in the Matrix. They weren't working together, but their attacks lined up perfectly, like a cultural eclipse.
Talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this, and as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it, but we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last week.
Charlie came armed with PowerPoint slides. Joe Rogan showed up with a verbal flamethrower, and together they didn't just question Sonny's credibility, they burned the whole setup down. They smashed the script, flipped the coffee table, and left before anyone could even react. And then the internet caught wind of the chaos. The internet, petty, ruthless, and always hungry for drama. The moment Sonny's worldview got blasted from both the suit and tie stage, and the hoodie mic, TikTok and Twitter exploded with memes and reaction videos faster than influencer breakups. One side called Charlie Kirk's takedown a TED talk with fangs. Rogan's roast. Comedy gold with some serious collateral damage. Twitter threads turned into full essays, comparing one clip to a masterclass and the other to a savage drive-by joke session. People couldn't get enough. Creators jumped in, making duets and skits that turned the whole thing into a digital age tragic comedy. Meanwhile, Sonny stayed silent. How do you fight back when you didn't even get named? This wasn't just a debate or a feud. It was a reality check from two completely different worlds, and the karma hit fast. Sonny's usual defenders tried to step in, but there was nothing left to spin, no cheap shots, no personal attacks, just cold, sharp criticism aimed right at the hollow space behind her carefully crafted media persona.
I get it. I also hate Joy Behar, so I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird, so I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show. If the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of, like, there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of...
Now, Charlie's clip is being dissected in high school debate clubs like a perfect lesson in how to tear someone down with calm, sharp precision. Meanwhile, Rogan's moment is smashing replay records so fast it's probably earned him a Spotify bonus. This wasn't just a takedown, it was a masterclass. And Sonny? She's trending, but definitely not in a flattering way. It's not, look at my outfit trending, more like, please unplug the internet before there's a sequel trending. The comment sections are merciless. No PR team could turn this spotlight into a win. It's rare, really rare, when political skill and cultural instinct collide and completely crush a story. No venom, no shouting, no direct attacks. Just two guys dismantling the whole system so smoothly they didn't even need to say her name. And yet, everyone knew exactly who got burned.
You get people thinking, like, if you could stop Hitler by any means necessary, wouldn't you stop Hitler? And so they equate Donald Trump with Hitler and go, here you go, this is our modern Hitler. Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said it's
on television.
Charlie and Joe didn't target Sunny Hostin, the person. They took on the whole polished media bubble she represents. That world where talking points pass for real ideas and applause tricks people into thinking something meaningful was said. They peeled back the glitter and exposed the empty echo chamber pretending to be truth. Here's the twist. They didn't just take down one personality, they shattered the entire formula. The pundit class that gets booked not for smarts but for perfect timing, who perform outrage like it's scripted theater, all crewed up by producers and hashtags. Charlie came in like a data drone, sharp, precise, and all policy. Joe rolled in swinging like a verbal bouncer, raw, chaotic, and straight from the gut. Different styles, same goal, and both hit the mark perfectly. Total collapse. No name-calling, no beef, just a clean, brutal exposure that stung worse than any insult. Charlie Kirk showed up in full uniform, navy blazer, perfect fade, and that "I know the Constitution better than your law professor" vibe. The guy probably dreams in legal clauses and Supreme Court rulings. He didn't roast Sunny. He erased the shaky ideological foundation she's been standing on, built on elite detachment, TED talkers, and applause from folks who think political nuance is boring. And here's the kicker, he didn't even say her name. That's how sharp it was. His words sliced through her worldview like it was held together by reruns and daytime drama smoke. Then enter Joe Rogan. No notes, no prep, just the raw, chaotic wisdom of a gym coach who reads conspiracy theories for fun and somehow makes sense of it all.
The View has to be, if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's
dumb.
deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out.
While Charlie was calmly breaking down facts at the chalkboard, Joe Rogan was kicking the studio door wide open, beer in one hand, sarcastic, "You'll really believe this," in the other. Rogan didn't come to argue. He came to vibe check the entire circus. No debate, just pure exposure of how ridiculous it is that anyone still takes these overpaid opinion machines seriously. Charlie brought spreadsheets. Rogan brought every tired dad, every side-eyeing waitress, every Uber driver who shouted at their car radio when NPR got too smug, all in one blast. They delivered a reality check no applause sign could drown out. Rogan didn't even mention Sunny's name. He went straight for the vibe. That whole world of plastic pundits floating on self-importance, speaking in buzzword soup, and unable to answer a real question without texting their publicist. The gut punch landed not in anger but mockery, and that hurts way more. You can argue charts all day, but you can't argue with people laughing at you. Laughter is a verdict, and here it was unanimous. Here's the cinematic twist. Their blows didn't overlap, they complemented each other perfectly. Charlie Kirk was the sharp left jab, delivering clean logic and dry sarcasm to college conservatives, policy wonks, and uncle-level Milton Friedman fans. Meanwhile, Rogan was the steel chair from the top rope, bringing the laughs for Spotify listeners, comedians, MMA fans, and every millennial who's just plain tired of the nonsense. Two very different worlds collided, each landing back-to-back losses on the same target. This wasn't strategy, it was cosmic timing. Logic came first, laughter followed, and the result was a reality check so clean it looked choreographed. But it wasn't. It was the clash of scripted outrage smashing into raw truth. And the fallout? Legendary. Sunny Hostin stood dead center as this rare collision between logic and mockery hit like a cultural earthquake. Her media bubble didn't just pop, it collapsed in on itself. She wasn't cancelled or silenced, she was fully exposed. What the world saw wasn't pretty. Beneath the glam, two men, one suited like a senator, the other dressed like he just left a sauna, came from completely different parts but landed in the same place. A punchline named Sunny. She's not just out of touch, she's broadcasting from a different time zone, waving from a tower built on scripts, applause, and iced oat milk lattes. So, what now? Nothing. She'll smile, sip her coffee, and keep reading from those prompters like nothing happened. But we saw it, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The curtains were pulled back, and they're not going to close again because the internet already did its job. The memes are made, the edits are synced, the clips archived, duplicated, and ready to go viral again. The next time someone says, "But she makes great points," remember, the breakdown already happened. Silent, off-camera, unmistakable, and delivered by two men who rarely agree on anything but landed on the same punchline. Sunny Hostin's reality check. One day, she's the moral compass of daytime TV. The next, she's the meme caught in a crossfire of spreadsheets and sarcasm. No rebuttals, no damage control, just the deafening sound of a worldview crumbling under pressure. Now excuse us while we rewatch those clips for the 11th time and laugh like they just dropped. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.